It's not just another beautiful Sunday, it's the start of a brand new year. Welcome to 2023. Happy New Year to everyone out there watching. Yes, we made it to this year, the year that many have said will define the future of Nigeria. We're all expectant, holding our breaths in different capacities and just hoping, that things go according to plan. The elections are just a few weeks away, on the 25th of February, I believe. The general elections for Nigeria will be holding, and a lot of us are going into proper full gear now, especially the candidates. A lot has happened in the past year, but we all believe that as the festivities draw to a close in the coming days, things will kick off fully and campaigning, and maybe we might still see a few debates here and there. We don't know, but we'll keep our fingers crossed. But of course, for Nigerians, what's most important is how the year will look as a whole. Besides the elections, the economy is pretty rough for a lot of us, and this is a time to make resolutions if it's something you do, but most importantly, plan as much as you can for what the year will look like for you, whether it's financially, whether it's personal, and all of that. So we're going to be talking about, the term that a lot of us like to speak on, or a lot of us hear at a time like this: new year, new me. Is there any points to that? Is it just another day in your life, or are you trying to redefine how things would look like for you as we start off the year 2023? I have here with me Fiyin Sawyer, who's a life coach. Thanks for being here today. Sorry, Shehu Shangule. I beg your pardon. Thanks for being here today.
Thank
you.
You
Will be joining us virtually very, very soon. But Shehu, very quickly now, you were talking off air and you talked about the fact that you start your year before the year itself starts. So you already were in 2023 mode a few months ago already.
Yes.
What does that do? Why do you do that? I mean, why don't you wind down a year properly before starting to think of a new year? Is that a business or strategic plan, and what's the benefits of that?
Okay, it's something that I've done for a long time. And for me, it's I don't wait till a particular season until I start my year, or until I start, what I want to do.
Yeah.
So when you say new year, new me, most people say that there's this funny prayer I've heard once, and that it goes like this, that may all your troubles last as long as your new year resolution. So because most times when people say set a date to their dreams or set a date to their desires, you're not ready to start. When it comes to you to start something or whatever it is that you want to do, you start now, you put action to it. And so that's the mode for me, and that's why I do it.
So I know you are an entrepreneur, you own your business.
Yes,
in a year like this where, the economy has been really tough on people, and people are already worried about the fact that there's so many distractions to come, even more with the elections. Are we going to get that much of an attention for the economy? How do you plan for a year like this? What sort of things have you personally done to prepare yourself for what could, at least most analysts are saying, will be a tough year economically?
One thing about Nigerians, generally, we are the most resilient people. I mean, it has always been tough, and I'm not saying it's going to be tougher, but then it could be, yeah. Worst case scenario, that's the best thing that you do. What's the worst thing that can happen? When you think about the worst case scenario and you prepare for it, then you have a lot of cushion. I'll give you an example. In 2021, when we're planning our financials, we planned for the margins to be 20, even though the forecast was saying 15, 16. But we pushed to 20, as at that time diesel was 250. Diesel is over 8. So for us, we had looked at the worst case scenario, and that's what everyone should look at. What's the worst that could happen? Even though we might not know what the worst is. I mean, another lockdown, diesel skyrockets, insecurity and all of that. So start to think, what are the things that I can put in place in terms of my suppliers, my supply chain? Can I bring it closer, or can I move closer towards my, my supply chain? Just think of the worst case scenarios, and then you plan for it. There's something they call it, risk risk-proof your business. You know, you de-risk your business. What are the major risks that can arise from these worst-case scenarios, and then you risk-proof it. Yeah. So yeah, that's it.
I hear you, but you know, people always say that with Nigeria, even the worst-case scenario is not the worst because Nigeria can still shock you. But yes. I get the point you're trying to get at. I don't know if we have Fiends or you're now joining us virtually. Thank you very much, Finyi, for joining us, and a happy new year to you, of course. You are a life coach, and I always hear, people talk about, when you're planning the year, I hear words like vision board, draw out a plan, which I think is very great advice, because it's nice to have a plan for how you want your year to set out. But there's also the reality of the country we live in. Most people tell you, now who get money they save. That's just, it tells you sort of where the mentality of a lot of Nigerians are. And you can't blame them because it's our reality. So if you tell someone who have a vision board for the year, they're like, I can't even know where my next meal is coming from. How do you do your job, in a time like this, in a country like this, and let people understand the importance of having, sort of a guide to what the year should look like for them? I think you're muted. Can you please unmute? Sorry.
I'm sorry. Hi. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Go on.
I was saying thank you so much, Ebuka, and Happy New Year to you. I was listening to what Sheun said as well, and you know what? Absolutely correct. What is the function of the vision board? It's basically to outline your goals and objectives for the year in a visual manner that helps to drive you towards that. In a country like Nigeria, where majority of people live on less than $1 a day, who wants to create a vision board? When I haven't seen food to eat today, exactly. What is the point of the vision board? But it's still absolutely valid, because at the end of the day, no matter where you are on the socioeconomic pyramid, it doesn't matter how much you're earning. We all have goals, right? So if I'm earning $1, my goal might be to move to $10. For other people, it's moving to $10 million or whatever the case may be. So the vision board is basically saying, these are my top goals for the year, and this is how they visually appeal to me. And I'm going to look at these every day and reflect on it. And I'll encourage everybody to do it, regardless of where you are on the earning scale.
Yeah. And just for the benefit of those, because people always say they don't like resolutions because they're very restricting. If you resolve to do something, we all know that most times by the 7th of January, our resolutions are already broken. Mm-hmm. So how do you differentiate to someone what a resolution is and what a vision board should be?
Yeah, so I'm going to put my hand up here and say I stopped doing New Year's resolutions when I was a teenager. Because like Sheun said, if I want to change something about myself, why do I need to wait for the clock to strike 1st of Jan, to do that? I can do it from today, from the end of the year. So for me, New Year's resolutions is people telling themselves, you know what, once it's a new year, it's going to be a new me, and I'm going to change certain things. But a vision board is different in that the same way companies and conglomerates plan for their next 3-5 years, it's the same thing you're doing. You're simply saying, for 2023, these are my top 10 goals that I want to achieve. And this is the vision board that is taking me there. So for example, I want to get a new job. I want to save up to get my own place, things like that. So it's not necessarily about what I'm changing. It's about what I want to achieve, which for me is a lot more realistic. And in getting to those goals, you will find that there's certain behaviors that you need to change, which inherently become your New Year's resolutions, even though you haven't set out saying, these are my New Year's resolutions. So for me, the vision board and the goals, much more important and imperative for individuals in the new year.
All right, I'll come back to you, Finyi, but Sheila, I want to find out from you now. I mean, you run businesses. I want to talk about the don'ts. What's the wrongest way to start off a year? Whether it's personally or with a business. What are some things you should never do, if anything? Because people make mistakes and learn from them. But at the same time, there are certain mistakes that maybe at a time like this probably defines the year for you if you start off on that much of a wrong footing.
I think mostly when you're overambitious, you set goals that are too high.
Sometimes,
exactly. Sometimes your goals need time. Your goals need time. And so you don't push it too much. You can over-exhaust yourself when you have not even started yet, or you have goals that are competing, and you are trying to do too much at the same time. Yeah. So instead of trying to do so much, plan your day. It should be, I have a personal mantra, which is instead of saying I want to do this thing at the end of the year or at the end of the quarter, break it into chunks that become monthly things that you do, weekly things that you do, and daily things that you do. So if it becomes something that you do every single day, it becomes a part of you. It becomes a system, and you don't now have to overexhaust yourself. So some of the wrongest things people try to do is do too much, you know, and then they get exhausted.
Yeah.
Midway.
Or even too distracted. I want to ask you questions to you and as well, Fee, but let me start with you to get your perspective on,
yes, please,
on that. Because, I mean, we know what December and the festivities in Nigeria looks like, even before this dirty December craze that has taken over our lives. It was a time when families went back to the village, you know, spend time with family. It's not necessarily a time when people sit back and say, oh, let me plan what the year looks like. I know you say you plan ahead of time, but there are many people who don't, you know. How do you find time, you know, to say, okay, and I'm not necessarily talking about a business now, even as on your personal life. Is this something you need time out for, to say, okay, let me figure out how this year wants to be? How do you make out that time? When is the best time to do it, if possible?
Okay, two things. Personally, I have retreats. There are times when you just feel drained. Anytime you feel drained or you feel like you are running out of steam, you should definitely set out time. Stop everything and relax. You know, I do every year, I do my annual retreats. I do 3 days, 4 days, I go alone, I go somewhere. In September, before my birthday, I go away somewhere. You know, because when you don't step back, you don't know how far you've come, and you don't know where you're going to. You know, there's so much noise all around, social media, dirty December, and all of that. And so it is very important. If you don't have time, which I think is just the fact that you don't prioritize well, what you should then do is you can sign up for a class or, you know, do something online, watch a YouTube video, how can I do this? And then sit down to do it. Because it doesn't make sense to jump on the board, on the bus. So I think of the year as a bus that is going somewhere. Where are you going? How do you know when you're there? How do you know when you should get off the bus? Or how do you know if the bus is headed in the wrong direction? You know, so you need to sit down, relax and think, what is my purpose? What is my why? Why am I doing this? Why am I even going to work? What do I want to achieve? What's my life's goal? You know, so if I wave a magic wand over your finance, what does it look like at the end of the day? Over your marriage, over your, you know, personal goals, your health, you need to sit down and think, what do I want to achieve? And so when you know what it is, that's when you know how to get there. So it's very important to set out time, even if it's just an hour.
Fee, same question to you, because I mean, we know how, especially people who have like a career, like sort of a 9-to-5 career, and we, especially a place like Lagos, we know it's basically, you know, start, repeat. You wake up, you go to work, you're in traffic, you come back, you sleep. You know, it's almost like the entire year you are like on autopilot. Christmas, you know, New Year's is kind of the time when people just want to not think about anything too deep. Yeah, with your family, let me just enjoy, because next week I'm going back to work. When do you have time to do, you know, a vision board if my life is sort of that regimented? You know, is this something I need to take out time for? I mean, she has a business, so she needs like a retreat to step back. How does someone like that do it?
Yeah, so absolutely, as an individual or a corporate professional who may not necessarily be exposed to those end of year retreats, one thing that I'll advise is that before you start your dirty December, is actually take out a weekend and just reflect. I used to be late to the party and do my vision board in January, and then I said, look, businesses don't start planning for the year in the year. They do it months ahead, right? The best I can do for myself is at least do it a few weeks ahead. So just before, you know, the party mode starts, like in the first week of December, even in my business, that's what we do. When we have vision board sessions, typically we like to do it that first week in December before the 15th. Just take the weekend out or the day. Just reflect on the current year's successes, things you want to improve on, and then visualize your year. Ideally, even before that week in December, you should have been actively thinking about what you want your 2023 or whatever the year may be to look like, right? So we should be thinking about it passively, actively, and then in that first or second week in December, come together, just relax, rest, and lay it all out.
Yeah, just so in some way of advice now, because a lot of us watch you know, the news. And it's not just a Nigerian problem now. The world is going through it economically. Every single corner of the world is being hammered economically. You know, if I watch the news, it's very hard for me to be, you know, sort of positive about where, you know, the year is headed. I'm already seeing projections from the IMF and World Bank of what, you know, growth will look like. So it doesn't look very exciting for a lot of people. What do you tell people who, you know, to say, I mean, there's still hope. How do you, you know, come out of that rut and still look forward to a good year like this?
Yeah, so I think, you know, COVID is something that should have taught us that, look, life, health is probably like the most important thing that we should be thankful for and look forward to, right? So, of course, we want to earn a living, you know, eat good food, travel, do all of those things, right? But I think the first thing that I'll say to people is that, you know, when there's life, there is hope. So let's first of all be thankful that we're, you know, alive. Hopefully we've got good health, we've got friends, family around. Then in terms of the economic part, career, business, etc., we know that there are difficulties. But in the midst of these difficulties, one thing that I've learned over the last couple of years is that as things become more difficult, opportunities start to spring up, right? So let's think out of the box and think, oh, beyond my 9 to 5 or beyond my current business, what are the other things that I actually can do? For example, because of COVID, remote jobs are open to so many people now. There's so many opportunities available to us, right? Even Brexit has led to, you know, an opening of jobs across the UK. So there are more opportunities being open even in the midst of difficulties. So I'll say be positive and look out for those opportunities to close the gaps where you feel tight. Because I can tell you, Ebuka, in the midst of this economic downturn, people are making it, right?
I know.
And it's simply because we're keeping our eyes open and latching onto those opportunities. So that's what I'll say. Be positive and just look out for those opportunities and grab them.
Yeah. Yeah, let me come to you, Shane.
Sure.
Shane, sorry. Ours is even more layered now with the elections, like I said.
know.
You know, there's a lot of people who are saying, "Let me leave it first. Let me show the election passes." A lot of businesses in Nigeria are taking decisions around the elections. Let's not implement this till after the elections because they feel like there's a lot of distractions. Some people are also uncertain about how things will turn out. You know, how do you, you know, navigate that, or how do you tell someone what to do in a time like this without peculiar situations?
It's difficult because at the end of the day, you know, everybody's situations are different. If your business really is hinged on, you know, politics and all of these things, yes, definitely, you would know that it's in your best interest to wait until after the elections. But I'm in the food business, you know.
Yeah. People must eat.
Babies, actually. I feed babies. And so, yes, babies must eat. You know, but at the end of the day, a growth mindset is what we all need.
Yeah.
Growth mindset, abundance mindset, you know. But then security as well. You need to keep yourself safe, keep your business safe. So any decisions that you think, go with your gut feeling. Whatever you think is best for your business, I think you should do it.
Yeah. Final note now, one sentence to you and Faye. What are you most excited about 2023? Let's try and end on a warm note. What are you most excited about this year?
I'm so excited about my goals, really. I've set really audacious goals already. I mean, being here is one of it. I'm crushing it already.
Girl.
New year.
On day one.
On day one, you know, start with the bang.
Exactly.
So I'm really excited about that. I have so many people that, you know, I'm also helping, you know, helping them to set their goals, their visions for the year. And, you know, so, yeah, I'm really excited about that.
Very good stuff.
Yeah.
Faye, what about you?
I'm excited about life, spending time with family, you know, and just making those meaningful moments count even more, and for my business to explode. You know, it's an amazing year ahead. I'm super hopeful and grateful for family, friends, love, and everything in between.
All right. Thank you very much, Finitoya and Sheun Shanguleye. Thanks for being here today, and Happy New Year. And I hope by this time next year we're smiling even more.
Amen. Amen to that.
We'll take a quick break.